Hey there, it's Jeff from Modern Combat and Survival, and in this video what I want to show you is something that I think a lot of survivalists don't really ever take into account when it comes to planning out their bug out bag and their evacuation. That is how you pack and how you organize your bug out bag. Now, I know that doesn't sound very sexy to you. It kind of sounds like, well, I don't need help with packing my luggage. Well, it actually does make a big difference, and I've learned this from experience in the military, because one of the things that was stressful already in a mission situation that you're in is not being able to find stuff that you're looking for, not having it packed right, having it give excessive stress on your body as you're road marching, as you're marching with your pack. And one of the things I can give you as a parallel is, if you ever, first of all, like a disaster is going to be, it's going to be stressful anyway, right? Like it's already going to induce stress in your body, and stress is going to cause excessive fatigue. It's going to cause you to make decisions that may not be in your best interest. It has an effect on you. So imagine like you're running late for work, and you're getting ready in the morning, and all of a sudden you can't find your car keys. Where are the car keys? You're looking all over for the car keys. You're yelling at the kids. You're yelling at your spouse. You know you're going to be late, and it's causing you frustration. Well, the same kind of thing can happen under already stressful conditions in an evacuation. So being able to get to the gear that you need when you need it can make a big difference. The other part of it is that it depends, when you're wearing the bag itself, if you're not wearing things in the right way, it can cause excessive wear on the shoulders. It can cause you to feel more pain. You're not going to be able to get there as quickly, or you're going to be in more pain when you get there and along the way, or you might not make it there at all. All right, so what I want to show you is how we integrated the load bearing in the bag itself, and some special tricks that you can use for how to pack up your bag. Now, we built into our bug out bag a modular design. So this allows you to have extra compartments. It allows you to add and remove compartments however you may wish to do that. It's one of the things that I think is one of the key features of the bag that we designed. But what I want to show you is how I pack my bag so that you can see some of the feature components. Okay, so what I want to do is kind of go through this really quick. First of all, one of the things that we do is when you're packing the bag, now we've got like the two side pockets here. I like to put the heavier stuff down in the lower side pockets. I'll show you what I have in these pockets here in just a second. But I like to keep the heavier stuff down on my hips. If you put the heavier stuff that you have up in the upper part, you're going to feel more wear on your shoulders, and it's going to cause more fatigue. All right, so let's go ahead and go through these right now. This first pack that I'll pull out here, what I like to do is I like to have all of my stuff that I'm going to need for one specific task or goal, all inside of one bag if I need to. If I don't have to open up the entire bag to get the stuff, all the better for me. So this one right here contains all of my family's shelter and our sleeping gear here as well. So one thing you'll find in the Extreme Bug Out Bag program, we don't carry tents. You know, we never carry tents in the military. We always did with just a simple poncho. I recommend, I've got a black poncho. This is also, I have a green poncho here that I keep, that my son also has. So all you need is a poncho to make a quick lean-to. That's going to be covered in a different video. So this is the sleep sack and all the stuff that we need here for sleeping. So everything I need for sleeping and shelter is all inside of one specific pack, ready to go. Pull it out of one bag. Don't need to go searching through the entire bag. The other thing we have here is, now this right here is going to be, this is my road marching or the bug out, kind of like your ongoing medical maintenance, if you will. So it has extra socks in here. We're going to go over this in another video as well, some things that people need to understand when you're actually out there marching with a pack. This is going to have some Motrin. It's got some socks. It has some other things specifically for when I stop for a break, the things that I'm going to need for that break. Again, not a time where you want to start pulling everything out. When you take breaks, you want to make them quick. You want to get the most out of them and get back on the road. Okay, on the lower half here in this pack, okay, so this is my, I call it my quick camp kit. So when I get to a location where we're going to be camping out for the night for safety's sake, This is all the stuff, and I'm going to go over everything in this, how to actually set up camp for safety, security, and for sustenance once you get to an actual location that you feel safe at. But this is everything that I need in here. So it contains some of the items for food, for cooking, things like that, but it's all inside of one bag. So really all on this one side, I've got sleeping and shelter. I have everything that I need for my campsite right on one side in these bags. A little bit heavier, it's got a few extra things in there so that are made out of metal, but I like to keep this down on the hips. The last side pack that I have here, now this is I consider this kind of like my breaching kit. So we've got, there we go. Okay, so you might come across obstacles that you're going to need to breach, or where you're going to need some sort of, this is kind of like the toolkit. Now, our packs are designed to fit pretty much all military equipment that you would ever need, military grade equipment like an entrenching tool. So I just wanted to show you that an entrenching tool will fit inside of one of these packs. So this is good for breaching, things like that. Now, I don't carry an entrenching tool with me on my backpack because, for my bug out bag, I prefer a smaller version of the e-tool right here. And this is in the Extreme Bug Out Bag Guide. This is a smaller e-tool. It's collapsible. It'll do just as much as this one, only like a third the speed. So if you're digging a latrine or something, if you're digging a foxhole, it's going to take a while on this. I've dug one with an e-tool before. It's not fun. But this is going to be my breaching toolkit and other tools that you might have. So we have things like for bicycle repair, things like that would go in that kit right there. The back pouch that we got here, we often call it the scram bag because you can use this for escape and evasion. But what I did was I actually now have this as my blowout medical kit. So I have anything that I need in here. If I need to quickly get to something, the medical kit is in here. This is my blowout kit. It's not the full first aid kit that you might have like in a vehicle or something like that, but it does contain some of the things that you need just to be able to get you to your location. Like we've got a Israeli bandage. We've got N100 medical masks in case that you're going through a toxic environment, things like that. Protective goggles, gloves, things that you're going to need for immediate first aid. Remember, the bug out bag is just to be able to get to your safety retreat, okay? So this is the blowout medical kit. That's what I prefer to use it as right there. We spin it around here. We've got the two small packs that go on your belt. And I won't take these off, but what I'll show you is that one of these is going, these are your readily accessible pouches on the front of your pack. So in the one pouch, I like to have things like communication, GPS. If I carry my my compass is on my wrist. This is what I've used all the time in the military. But if you have an extra compass, something like that, you can use it. This is going to be, we're going to have some food in there. You don't want to take the pack off. You just want to get to some snacks, things like that. So the Patriot Pantry has granola. They have things like fruit inside the pack. So this is the food that I carry for bug out, things like that. So, but this is the snack food that goes into the front pouch. The other front pouch is where I like to carry my weapon. So again, as you know, if you follow any of my writing, you know that I'm not a fan of carrying an AR-15 around with you everywhere. So, but I also don't want to be exposed to show other people that I have a weapon. So the front pouch is where I keep the handgun. So I've got my Glock in here, got extra magazines in here. I don't like to clutter this up a lot because if I need to get to it quickly, I just want to be able to open it up, grab, and be able to use my weapon in defense if I need to. Okay, so those are the pouches that I have. Now let me show you something on the inside because this is something we haven't shared before, and I think this is pretty important. So, oh, in the front pouch here, what I like to do is there's the main compartment and then there's front pouch for the bug out bag. And the front pouch is where I like to put all of my food. Okay, so I know I can get to it. I don't have to rummage through to the bottom of my rucksack. But it's all this right here. So we've got some ramen noodles here, but then I've also got all of the Patriot Pantry freeze-dried food can go right inside of here. I carry all of my food right here in the front pouch. I know where it's at. It's very easy to get to. But here's something I want to show you that I think this is a really cool trick that I learned in the military and that I think you're going to really like. And it's basically like you oftentimes have little things that you're gonna have. Now, if you have if you've checked out the Extreme Bug Out Bag program, the list that we have for all the things that a lot of people don't even really realize that they need for bugging out, you're gonna find there's a lot of little things in there. So instead of having a bunch of stuff kind of packed, even if it's inside of the pouches, it can still kind of get lost in everything. So here's what I did was, what we've always used was this is a makeup bag kit. So ladies, you might know what this is. Guys, ask your ladies what it is. But basically it's a makeup kit that I got from a beauty salon, and it has lots of little compartments in it. So you're going to find inside the Bug Out Bag guide, or just things that you find that you're going to need that might be that you're going to want to have that are small. So as an example, medications that you have that are ongoing medications, like prescription medications, barter equipment, some other things that you might have for medical purposes. Like I've got some essential oils in here that are for longer term care, or for things that I definitely want to make sure I have with me for the trek that can be used as medicine along the way, but I don't want to have readily available. Water purification, extra stuff like that. Spare gun parts are an important thing that a lot of people don't think about. So like an extra firing pin, recoil spring, extractors, things like that for your weapon, just in case, because you always want to be able to have a weapon if you need it. So things like that. So there's different stuff in here that you're going to be able to pack away that's going to keep it from going all over the place, and it also cushions it, makes it nice and neat. All you have to do is just pull this thing out, and you've got it all organized right there for you, okay? The other thing that we obviously built into the bag was the ability to have a water filtration system. So what I want to do is show you real quick how to put the water bag together once you actually get it. Now this bag itself, it's going to hold 72 ounces or 2 liters, and you just fill it up right at the top here. So you can even put something over this, like the pantyhose that you carry with you, put over it. That'll help filter it. You filter as much as you can, putting it in there, and then for the when the filter comes, what you want to do is splice it into the line very close to the bag. You'll see how to do that. It's very simple. Just splice the line, put the filter in between the 2 lines. It shows which direction to put those, and then we have an actual compartment in here specifically for this bag. Once you do that, and this is the clamp that closes it off so it doesn't come out. So I'm going to pull this out real quick and show you that. When you put this in, all you do is put it inside of the bag like this. Make sure the filter is on the outside facing away from your back so it doesn't poke you in the back. But you put this in like this, and then the hose comes up through the special filtration integrated hole that we have here. So all you do is you have everything filled up with water. You poke it through the hole like this, okay? And then you bring the Velcro back down. Now, as you look at the straps here, okay, so the hose for the water comes out the top. Leave the clamp off it for now, and all you do is put it down through, it doesn't matter which side you want to put it in on, but you put it down through the strap and then through this special D-ring that's right here, okay? Once you put it through the D-ring, that's when you feed it through the actual clamp, like this. Whoops. Okay, so you feed it through the clamp, and then you just clamp it down like that. It closes off the water. Now, as you're going through here, you'll see that it doesn't go through the D clamp like this. So this keeps it stationary for you, where you always have the water available. Anytime you need it, all you do is just pull the hose over, unclamp it, drink from it right from the back, and clamp it back down when you don't need it. So it integrates with the bag. It also keeps it very centrally located, so you're not carrying it at the very bottom of the bag. It's integrated inside the design. So this is the best way that I've found to pack the bag, to be able to keep the load right, to keep it all organized, and to keep to take the biggest benefit from the features that we built into the bag itself, okay? So We've got some more great videos coming up for you. So be sure to, once you get your bag, make sure that you take an inventory of the equipment that you have, figure out the best way for you to be able to pack this up. This is what I recommend. Got some more great stuff coming up for you. Well, in this segment, I want to cover what I consider probably to be the #1 biggest mistake that most survivalists make when it comes to their bug out bag, and that is where you actually keep your bug out bag. Now, you're going to find lots of advice all over the internet about where you should store your bag, and you're going to find everybody has their different opinions. I've seen people talk about how they have it in their garage, so it's ready to go and just throw in their vehicle if they need to ever get evacuate from their home. I know a lot of people who have a special room set aside. Some people keep it even by their desk so that they're ready to grab it and go. There's a big emphasis on being able to grab your bag and go. That's why it's called a go bag, right? I've seen people that have had hidden rooms, like hidden survival rooms, to keep all of your preparations away from the eyes of neighbors or law enforcement or whoever. Some of these rooms are hidden behind bookcases, things like that. And then there's the holy grail, which is the survival bunker, which is maybe like an underground bunker or a hidden room or something like that, which has all of your survival gear in it, ready to go. It's ready to survive in place and ready to bug out if you need to. Unfortunately, all of these have one common flaw, and that is your survival gear is only good to you if you can get to it. And unfortunately, in most of these cases, you might never even get to your actual survival gear bug out bag. So let me share with you what I consider to be the best place to store your bug out bag. Okay, here we are at my top secret survival gear storage facility. This is it. Again, remember the biggest premise for your survival gear is you have to be able to get to it to use it. There could be an instance where you're caught in an instant disaster. You could be at work, you could be at just out on vacation, you could just be out on the road somewhere, and all of a sudden a disaster strikes, an instant disaster that keeps you from getting to your home. It could be a natural disaster, it could be man-made, it could be anything. You might not be able to get to your survival gear if it's located in a special room that you have, or even in the garage or something like that, ready to go. But if it's always inside of your vehicle, then even if you can't make it home, you at least have your most essential survival gear there ready for you to take it and go to your safety retreat if you have to bug out. Okay, now, first I want you to notice what you don't see. Okay, first of all, you don't see the Mad Max zombie apocalypse mobile. Okay, your biggest goal in a disaster is to be able to not be noticed by others. You don't want to be the one who's seen as prepared. That's going to make you a target, right? That's one of the biggest premises of our Survival Kit Bug Out Bag program and the design of the Extreme Bug Out Bag. But this blends in. This is not the massive four-wheel drive with zombie killer over the back bumper or anything like that, okay? So it blends in. I'm not going to go into all the details about survival vehicles, but this is mine, okay? The other thing that you won't notice is my bug out bag. So you don't see the bug out bag. That's another important item, because if I just had my bug out bag in the back of my vehicle, then somebody, if it's law enforcement that pulls me over, even for a speeding ticket or something like that, and sees all my gear on there, they might ask, well, what is that for? Now legally they cannot, unless they have a reasonable suspicion, they cannot search your vehicle, so you don't have to let them see anything. However, with today's, let me say, hunt for doomsday preppers that are out there, wackos that are loaded with grenades and assault weapons and things like that, that could be reasonable suspicion. All they have to do is show that I felt like this was a person who was one of those crazy doomsday preppers. It looked like he had this bug out bag I hear about in there, and so they can search your vehicle and stuff. I don't want to look like a prepper, even to police that pull me over for a speeding ticket. So you'll notice that you don't see the bag in here. Okay, so what I've done is I have these plastic storage bins that hold my survival gear for my vehicle survival kit as well as my bug out bag. This right here is big enough for both my son and my bug out bag. My son's my bug out bag. So inside of here, I can keep all of my gear. Okay, everything that I need inside of here. All right, and it's ready to go. It's still there. If your first choice for bugging out is not going to be just to strap this thing on in your garage anyway, right? you're going to go by vehicle. And if you don't have to grab it and go because it's already in your vehicle, that saves you time. You're able to evacuate even that much faster. Okay, it's already there, ready to go. So I keep the bag right inside of this bin. Now let me give you some pointers here. Okay, first of all, you want to get a non-see-through plastic bin, because it doesn't do you any good. I mean, you're not going to hide anything if people can see through like a clear plastic or something like that, or even white plastic. So you get an opaque color that blends in with everything, not neon pink, not bright blue. If you ever have to transition to another mode of bugging out for transportation, you're going to want something that blends in anyway. So if you have to go by bike or something like that, you can grab these, be able to, if you have a carrier, you can go ahead and just put them in these. It blends in, right? It's kind of like woodland camo. So I have it inside the bag here. Other survival gear, you can just stack these very easily, bungee cord them in so they don't all get tossed around. One thing I do as well is, again, if there are prying eyes, if a law enforcement officer or military checkpoint or something like that is looking through the window, they're subliminally going to see that there's clothes in here, that there's tools in here, or whatever some innocuous label that you want to put on these, so that instantly they're not thinking, I'm looking for something. Their mind is going to register that, oh, there's clothes. It's just going to like bypass that. It's kind of like the Jedi mind trick, you know, from Star Wars. You know, these are not the droids that you're looking for. Okay, so you label them, have them in here like this, and you're always ready to go. Now, the other thing that I suggest is that, number one, if your spouse does have their own bug out bag as well, that should be in their vehicle. So it might be an instance where your spouse and you never meet up until you get to your next your designated safety retreat. So you don't want to have everything inside of your bug out vehicle and she doesn't have anything, and then all of a sudden you're separated or something happens to you and now she's even without gear. So she needs to have her own survival gear to be able to sustain herself. That should be in the trunk of her car or in the back of the vehicle, wherever, but it needs to be in the same location with her at all times. The other thing is that whoever is the person in your family who carries the kids around the most, that's where you're going to want the kids' bug out bags as well. I'm usually the one who's carting my son around, so his bag goes inside of my bag right here. So again, if I'm out there and I'm able to grab him from school, I don't have to travel back home and go get his bag and my bag and everything. I've got his stuff, I've got my stuff, I grab them, we evacuate together. Okay, so really think about, where have you been keeping your survival gear? Is it really readily accessible if it were an instant disaster? I think most of you will probably take a look at your own plan and see that it probably wasn't. So I want you to consider using this option for your bug out plan. It really is the fastest way to get to your survival gear when you actually have it. One of the things a lot of people don't understand when it comes to bugging out, especially when it comes to bugging out by foot where you have a bug out bag, is that in order for you to get to your destination, you're only as good as your weakest link. You're only as successful as your weakest link. And when it comes to bugging out by foot with a go bag, that weakest link is typically going to either be the bag or it's going to be you, or one other common denominator that you've got. Let me put it to you this way. You could have the perfect bug out bag, the best bug out bag in the world with all the best survival gear. But if you're in poor physical condition, or if you're not wearing the bag correctly, then that bag, that perfect bag, is going to cause excessive wear and tear on your body. It's going to reduce your stamina, it's going to cause friction points, blisters, it's going to cause a lot of pain. That's going to make it a lot harder for you to get to your destination. You're going to get there slower, or maybe even not at all. Likewise, you could be in amazing shape. You could be in the best physical condition. You could have a Navy SEAL body. But if you've got a poorly designed bag, or you're not wearing that bag correctly, then again, it's going to cause friction points, excessive wear, things like that, okay? Now, the common denominator among both of those isn't the bag itself or your condition. Those two factors do matter. But the one that you also have the most control over when it comes to actually being on the road, well, we've taken care of the bag, okay? So the bug out bag that we designed is designed for comfort.
Your physical fitness is going to be up to you. There are things that's going to be an argument you're going to have with yourself. But how you wear that bag and how you use that survival gear to create comfort and be able to get you to your location, that is something you have a lot of control over, and it's something that's going to be with you every step of the way. So that's where I really want to focus in on right now, is show you how to best use the bug out bag for comfort to be able to get to your destination. Okay, now with our bag itself, basically everything comes down to three things. It comes down to friction, it comes down to profile, and it comes down to weight distribution. So friction is for you to be able to eliminate as much as possible any of the friction points that would happen on your body that would cause blistering, rubs, tears, kind of like that rug burn effect. That's going to be a real nuisance along the way. That pain does make a difference. It wears away at your will, your mental fatigue, physical fatigue, things like that. So you definitely want to limit that pain as much as possible. So some of that comes before you even put on the bug out bag. For example, one of the things we do is we use a compression shirt. Okay, so this is in the Survival Kit Bug Out Bag program. We talk about the clothing that you wear makes a big difference. So a compression shirt, which lays against your body really, really tightly, is going to help wick away moisture, but it's also going to create an alternative friction point for everything else that you're wearing, for the shoulder straps, for the waist belt, everything. So what it does is it keeps the friction on the outer, on the clothing, the mid clothing or the outer clothing, and avoids the friction against your body that's going to cause those rug burns. Okay, it's just the same way you do when you're wearing socks. You're wearing something underneath the socks to avoid blisters. Okay, so that friction makes a big difference. The other thing we do is we don't use an internal in the bag itself. We don't use an internal frame system. What this does is it can create an unnatural adherence to your body, and it can cause friction points there as well. That frame decides where it wants to go in your body. We let the bag do the job itself by keeping a low profile. So with the design of our bag, it has 6 different adjustment points on it to allow you to adhere the body or the bag as close to your body as possible to eliminate friction, that side and up and down movement that creates friction against your body, but then also keeping a low profile. In other words, totally against your back, to be able to allow it to kind of mold to your body and again eliminate friction, keep the profile down, which also helps with weight distribution. Now, we talked about weight distribution when it came to packing your bag itself. So one thing you want to do is make sure that the heavier material that you have is in the lower compartments that you have. So the heavier stuff you want as low as possible on the pack. Lighter stuff like the gear that we have for sleeping and for shelter up at the top. Okay, all that stuff stays up at the top. Heavier items for weight distribution down at the bottom. Okay, now the first thing you want to do, so now what we're going to get into is how you wear the bag for comfort. Now this is something I learned the hard way after 100-mile road marches in the military and light infantry. Okay, so you learn very quickly the right way to put on a pack and just how much of a difference it makes when you actually have to wear it. So what I want to do is I want to show you right now how we actually, the best way to put on and adjust the bug out bag. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you loosen up all of the straps that you have. So we have 6 adjustment points. We have one up at the top here that attaches with the hooks to the front of the pack. What this allows you to do is to really cinch down your pack. You don't want a lot of movement left and right or inside the bag. You don't want a lot of empty space in there. So once you get it packed in, you want to cinch these down. But right now I'll just say, you can go ahead and just make sure you fasten these, but keep them very loose for right now. Okay, so we've got attachment straps here, but these are the adjustments right on top of the shoulder pads themselves. Okay, so you just loosen those up some. Okay, on the front of the pack itself, what we have is we have the waist belt. Again, for the first time that you put it on, you want to go ahead and loosen up the waist straps. Okay, loosen up the waist straps. Go ahead and put on the front pouches. This is this is the weapon case right here. Okay, so we've got these loosened, and then there's also the chest strap. Okay, so we have 6 points of contact. We've got 2 up here. We've got 2 down here. Okay, so you want to loosen these also on the bottom part of the strap. So you want to keep them nice and loose to start out with. And then you've got your adjustment point here at the belt line, the chest line. So there's 2, there's 4, and then there's 6 up at the top. Okay, so you want to start out when you're adjusting your pack, do it, just keep it very loose. Now what I'm going to do is, what we found was that the best way to put the gear on was actually from the ground. So when we would take a break, we'd do about 45 minutes of marching, and then what we would do is we would basically get on our backs, drop the pack down, and we would go ahead and take a break every 45-50 minutes or so. But we also found it was the best way to adjust your gear before you get up. So what we found is that if you try to just take your bag and put it on, it's starting from fatigue on the shoulders. You're putting all the weight on your shoulders first, and then you're adjusting the waist belt. What that does is it kind of starts off with fatigue in the shoulders, and it adjusts it so that you still have a lot more weight on your shoulders. The key to weight distribution is right around your waist. It's getting all of the weight on your hips and your center of gravity right here. Okay. So what we found was that if we take the bag and we set it on the ground, I'm going to do this on the hill, and actually hills help out a lot also. But you basically just lay back on it. So here you can see if there's any pain points you have, if there's anything sticking in the bag or whatever. Before you actually put it on, you can feel it. You can kind of lay on it and help it adjust. And then what you want to do is the very first thing you want to put on are the straps, just to get them adjusted. Okay, so you just want to get it on where you know you've got the padded straps. From here, again, you want to bring the belt a little bit high on this, and you want to adjust it on your waist. So first, put the belt on right here. Get this grass out of the way. Okay. From here, you want to cinch this down really tight. You want the waist very tight, okay? Because that's where you want to hold all of your the weight from the pack. The shoulder straps themselves are just to keep the bag stationary. That's it. You don't want to carry any of the weight on your shoulders as much as possible. That's what's going to cause the most fatigue, is on the shoulders. So what we do right here is we cinch down the waist strap, okay? Nice and tight above the hip. Again, because we're lying on the ground, we can adjust our body up and down here to make sure that it's right above the hip bone, okay? Now what we do is we take the chest strap. What this chest strap does is it holds the shoulder straps together more towards the core of your body. I'll show you that here in a second. But what we do is go ahead and take the shoulder straps. Now that we've got the waist pack on, take the shoulder straps with both hands and pull down, okay? So this is to get a low profile, okay? So this helps, again, adjust the bag right to your body, okay? So we cinch those down. We've got the chest strap here, the waist strap. Now, one thing you can do, I mean, we designed the bag, our Survival Kit bug out bag, so it's only about 32 pounds is what my pack is. So from here, you can just roll over and get up, and I'll show you that in a second. But one of the things that we found was that if you picked up extra gear that you scavenged along the way, or you had extra ammunition or whatever it was, one of the things that we found, because a lot of times when we were in light infantry, light was not the operative word, okay? So a lot of times our rucksacks were almost the size of our body. If we had a lot of extra winter gear in there and stuff like that, that could get very heavy. It could get up to 85, 95, 100 pounds that we're carrying. From here, if you have an extra weight in your bag, being on your back like this, you can have one of your survival team members come over. They put one foot, you can have two people help you or one person. They put their foot in front of your foot, grab your hand, and they can hoist you up. Helps if you have two people. One person put their foot right in front of your foot here to give you stability, grab your hand, and they can actually lift you up. No matter how big the bag is, once you get up, if the weight is distributed on your hips, you're good to go. You'll be perfectly fine, okay? What you don't want to do is have an extra heavy bag and roll over and try and get up that way, because you can really hurt your back. If you hurt your back, you're not going to be marching very far, okay? So you want to do that. So, but our bag is relatively light. So what we're going to do now is, what I like to use is my hiking pole, okay? So what we do is we just kind of roll over so that we've got distribution, and now I can use the pole itself to help myself up, okay? So that gives you, again, a little bit of extra stability. So now comes your final adjustment. Okay, so I'll put the stick down from here. Again, you want to make sure that everything is cinched really well around the waist. Now I can barely feel this on my shoulders because most of the weight is right on my hips right here. That's exactly where you want it. But again, last final minute adjustment. So now you can feel where is the weight distributed. Do I need it a little bit to tug down a little bit over here? As far as the profile, you can have somebody come up behind you here, and the straps that are in the back, just kind of cinch them down. They cinch down from the rear to be able to give you better compression from the back, okay? It's a little bit harder when you're up here to see where your profile is and everything, but nonetheless, so you just make sure all those points are done. Now, from here, now you know where your distribution points are, how the weight's distributed, what you're feeling. What you want to do then is you want to start marching for about a half a mile to a mile. Now, that's what's going to allow you to feel where those points are. Like, do you have friction in a certain area? Do you need to stop? You'll know mostly after about half a mile or so where those points are. Some of them will just work their way out. But after about a half a mile or so, you'll start to feel where they are. You can drop down, adjust where you need to. Again, that helps with the 6-point system to be able to fine-tune everything, okay? So, again, physical fitness is up to you, okay? But no matter what shape you're in, wearing your bag correctly is going to help make a big difference in how successful you are in getting to your destination.
Okay, what I want to talk about now is perhaps one of the most life-saving factors of the Extreme Bug Out bag, and that is this bag right here. We designed this bag to be very versatile in what you want to use it for. It has a lot of different features to it. It has several compartments to it. It, of course, has a MOLLE design, so it easily comes off and can be attached to a belt or to another day pack or anything that you want. The MOLLE design lets you attach it anywhere. It also has built into it an additional strap, so that if you wanted to use it as an everyday carry bag, or if you wanted to give it to a smaller child to carry additional stuff, if you want to unload a little bit off of your pack, it can be used as a shoulder strap. It can be used as a waist pack. It's adjustable. It's very versatile in how you want to carry it yourself. But what I want to talk about in this segment is how I use this bag and what I have in this, okay? So the way that I like to use it, and one of the things that we talk about is in an evacuation, things can get very violent. There can be anything related to the evacuation trigger itself. It could be a natural disaster, it could be civil unrest, anything that forces you to evacuate your home and find another path to safety has the potential of causing injury. And so what I use this pack for is my blowout medical kit. Now, a blowout medical kit is different than a typical first aid sack that you have or other gear that you have, because it's specifically designed for the bug out. It's specifically designed for an evacuation. It's designed for the event itself, or things that you might have to, that might occur on your path to safety during times of civil unrest, during times of natural disaster, things that are very violent. Okay, so the way that I like to get your kind of mind into it is think like Boston bombing. Okay, so anything that is that type of a triggered event. The same type of things could happen in a natural disaster. So what do you have in relation to that type of a trigger event? You have things like lacerations. You have potential burns. You have people with blocked airways. You have potentially lost limbs due to explosion, or it could be falling rubble. Things like that could cause anything that somebody could lose an arm or a leg or things, something like that. So you have a lot of different things you might have. During civil unrest, it could even be something as a gunshot wound or a stab wound from looters or the anarchy that's going on around you. Okay, so that's what this kit is designed for. So let me show you what I have in my blowout medical kit, and you can copy it for your own kit as well. Okay, fortunately, the way that the bag is designed, that it has several different compartments, so you can put different types of medical equipment in different areas, so you can keep them organized, you can keep them easy to access, and you know what's in which section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through exactly what I have in here. First thing you want to do is you want to have some sort of a hands-free light device. Now this is a headband LED light. that I can, you don't want to be holding a flashlight while you're trying to work on a massive laceration on your kid's leg at the same time. So you want to have some sort of hands-free light. This is an LED light, gives you the most light output that you can have. It's sometimes preferable to have a red light filter on these so that you can stay anonymous if you need to, if you're trying to stay covert in any way. However, I like to have the most light possible. If I'm working on somebody that's a life-saving injury, I want to have as much light as possible. The white LED is good for that. But batteries can sometimes give out, right? The last thing you want to do is have a massive injury there, and then all of a sudden your light doesn't work. So you want to have a backup with a chem light, a glow stick, so that you can, you'll always be able to just break that and at least have some light there. The other thing is that the glow stick can be used for signaling as well. So if you're waiting for medical aid to come by, you can have a glow stick that shows out there, and that helps identify you as something different than what else is around you, that you can get medical help there. Also, what we have here is a tourniquet. Now this is a military style tourniquet that you can use on yourself. It's a one-hand design, so that you can actually, if it's just you and for some reason you have a massive injury that's causing a loss of a lot of blood and you need to get a tourniquet on there, you can go ahead and put this on with one hand on yourself. It also has a place here for putting the time on there, so I always make sure that we've got a pen handy as well so that you can write anything that you need to on the so as far as like time or any other information that you need to give to first responders. The other thing we have here is a Celox granules applicator. Now this comes in a plunger design, so this is best if you have like a bullet wound that has a deep wound into the cavity. The Celox is a blood coagulant, so it basically acts as like a sponge. It absorbs it and it stops the bleeding temporarily until you can get to better emergency help. So with a plunger, especially for things like gunshot wounds, you put it in there, you squeeze it in, and that can help to stop the bleeding, at least temporarily. Okay, so that's what I've got in my front pouch. The side pouches, what I've got are an assortment of bandages. Obviously, you have smaller wounds that might just need protection. The last thing you want when you're evacuating is to get an infection of some sort, something that could have been easily prevented, but because you didn't keep the wound area protected, it doesn't, it gets infected and it causes a worse problem. So just simple bandages make a big difference. Also, you want to have, these are latex gloves to be able to keep yourself protected from bloodborne pathogens when you're working on somebody that you don't know that could possibly have some sort of a bloodborne pathogen disease. I also have crazy glue. Crazy glue is one of those things that a lot of survivalists use because it can be used temporarily to help stitch up a laceration. If you don't have time to do a full stitching with the sutures, the crazy glue can temporarily hold together a wound, believe it or not. Also, what I have is compressed gauze. Gauze is always a kind of a staple of any sort of first aid or emergency kit, but this is a compressed form, so it's very compact. But when you unroll it, it creates a lot of gauze that can be used for protecting the wound or for stopping blood as well. On the other side here, what we've got. Now this is a Berman Airway device, which can be used if you have a blocked airway. Now, in the military, we have a process we go through for coming up and evaluating somebody of how you're going to prioritize how you're going to save that person. So when you come up, it's always breathing, bleeding, protect the wound, treat for shock. So breathing is the very first thing that you need to take care of if you come across somebody or if you're dealing with a casualty. So if they have a blocked airway, if their tongue is swollen up or something like that, you want to make sure that the airway is clear. But if they do have swelling around there, the Berman Airway basically allows you, it has channels on each side, allows you to put it into their mouth, down their throat. And what it does is it keeps the airway open while you're waiting for emergency responders. Okay. The other things that we have here are, this is an irrigation plunger. So what this does is if you have a laceration that has like a lot of dirt or debris in it, this allows you with either an iodine solution or with water even to irrigate it out of there so that you're not closing up a wound that has additional contaminants in it that could cause a big problem. Now, besides the Berman airway opener, we've also got another alternative, which is the nasopharyngeal airway, which goes in through the nose. So it works kind of very much the same way this does, except they're going through the mouth. For some reason, you can't, their mouth is not, they have a broken jaw, you can't open up the mouth, some reason like that. This is an alternative, and basically this is very compact, doesn't weigh anything, and it goes in through the nose with a little lubricant. It goes down and allows them to have an open airway. Like we said, burns are another possible problem that you might come across with. So a burn dressing actually helps to relieve the pain of the burn, as well as keep it protected specifically and moist so that the skin doesn't get too charred and become a real problem and get infected. So it allows you to protect that wound while you're waiting for to get to other medical attention. The other thing we got here is basically a sucking chest wound sealer. Okay, so if you have any sort of deep penetration wound that goes into the lungs, it will create a sucking sound. So you'll actually have a hole, like a bullet wound. If it goes through the lung, you'll hear a sucking sound, like you'll actually see the blood like bubbling out of that wound. That means that the lung has been attacked. So this sealant helps to basically create a vacuum there to allow the lungs to fill back up with air and protect it from getting other material inside of the lungs. Okay. We've also got this is another emergency bandage. It's a trauma wound dressing. This also has Celox in it. It also, is another form of, also has like the gauze wrapped around it. So you can use it for a dressing and it stops bleeding also. We have an assortment of different types of pain relievers that can be used, as well as